Hello, welcome to Tangled Threads. If you enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel. Let's go. Here's a saga that has been spiraling my life into a whirlpool of emotions and moral ambiguities. A month ago, my wife Grace cheated on me. It hurt more than a gut punch. It was an emotional evisceration. And yes, I forgave her. It wasn't an easy process, I can tell you that. We attended couples therapy, indulged in countless late-night conversations, spent days teetering between tears and forced laughter. But in the end, I managed to let go of the pain, for our love, for our children. Then life threw me another curveball. My attraction for my sister-in-law, Amelia, which was always there but dormant, seemed to be coming to life, and I had no idea how to handle it. Amelia, older than Grace by a couple of years, was an architect. She had an analytical mind, always seeking symmetry and balance. Her personality was the embodiment of her profession, precise, creative, and somehow still unpredictable. Her laughter was infectious, and her dark curls bounced with every hearty chuckle she let loose. She was the embodiment of charismatic allure. I could not help but be attracted. One evening, about 2 weeks after the fallout, Amelia invited us to dinner. She lived in a beautiful, self-designed loft overlooking the city. As I walked in, my heart pounded at the sight of her. The loft was lit by warm lights, and the scent of cooked seafood wafted through. Amelia wore a sleek black dress, hugging her in all the right places, her curls cascading down her back. "John," she greeted me with a warm hug, her perfume intoxicating my senses. "So glad you could make it." The evening was filled with laughter, stories, and Amelia's infectious energy. Grace seemed at ease, happier than she'd been in weeks. I should have been relieved, yet all I could think of was the woman hosting us, the way her dress draped her figure, how her eyes sparkled in the dim light. Weeks went by and my feelings only intensified. Every conversation, every shared glance seemed to carry an undercurrent of unspoken desire. I didn't know if it was wishful thinking or shared attraction, but the tension was palpable. One night I received a text from Amelia. "Can you come over? I need help with some heavy lifting." My heart pounded as I drove to her place. The loft was bathed in soft light, the cityscape beyond her floor-to-ceiling windows, a sprawling labyrinth of twinkling lights. She stood near her drafting table, dressed in a white button-down shirt and jeans. Casual, yet she had never looked more beautiful. "John, I'm glad you're here," she said, her eyes betraying a hint of nervousness. "I need to move these boxes to the storage room." We worked in silence, the tension between us thick enough to slice through. Once done, I turned to leave, but she caught my hand. Her eyes, usually so confident and sparkling, now held an uncertainty that mirrored my own. "John," she began, "I need to say something. I feel something for you, more than I should. I don't know if you feel it too, or I'm imagining it." My heart pounded in my chest. I looked into her eyes, torn between the love for my wife and the growing attraction for her sister. "Amelia," I confessed, "I feel it too, but we can't. Grace, I love her." A heavy silence hung in the room. She let go of my hand, tears welling in her eyes. "I know, John, it's just, I had to tell you. It doesn't change anything." I left Amelia's loft that night with a heavy heart. The next few days were a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. I loved Grace. She was my partner, my confidant. But Amelia stirred a passion in me that I couldn't ignore. Ultimately, I decided I had to confront the situation. Not to act on it, but to prevent another disaster. I sat down with Grace one evening after the kids had gone to bed. "Grace, we need to talk," I began, looking into her eyes. "It's about Amelia." Grace's eyes widened slightly, a wave of confusion crossing her features. I held her hands and poured out everything. My attraction for Amelia, her confession, and most importantly, my decision not to act on it. Her eyes welled up as she listened, her grip tightening on my hands. When I was finished, she was silent for a moment before finally speaking. "John," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion, "I hurt you, and I never expected you to hurt too. Amelia is my sister, and it's hard, but I trust you." In that moment, I realized that this was love, the real one, full of forgiveness, understanding, and a willingness to fight for us. The journey ahead wouldn't be easy, but it was a path I chose, for Grace, for us. It's hard navigating the complicated paths of love and attraction, but they are part and parcel of the human experience. It's not always the easiest, and it doesn't always make sense, but it's these trials and tribulations that shape us, make us stronger, and teach us about love, forgiveness, and resilience. Update. I had tried to lay the situation to rest. My confession to Grace had brought a glimmer of relief, a bit of closure. I had thought it was the end of the story, but life, it seems, had a way of proving me wrong. About a week later, we were invited to a friend's party. An occasion that usually felt like a joyous escape now felt like a precarious walk over a thin, creaky bridge. Amelia was there, radiant as ever in a red dress. Grace, still a little subdued since our talk, tried to mingle with her usual vivacity. As the night went on, I found solace in the flowing liquor, hoping it could numb the confusion, the guilt. I drank more than I should have, more than I ever had. "John," Amelia appeared at my side, her voice softened, tinged with concern. "Maybe you should stop." I looked at her, my vision blurred, her voice echoing in my ears. The music, the laughter, the party around us faded into the background. "What does it matter?" I slurred, bitterness creeping into my voice. "Doesn't change anything, does it?" A cloud of sadness passed over Amelia's face, but she didn't argue. Instead, she helped me to a quiet corner, away from the prying eyes and the deafening noise. One thing led to another. The alcohol, the loneliness, the undeniable attraction. They culminated into a moment of weakness, of utter loss of control. We ended up in a room upstairs, away from the party, away from my wife. We crossed a line we had vowed not to. The morning after was a train wreck. I woke up with a throbbing headache and the sickening realization of what I'd done. Amelia was already up, her face pale, guilt mirrored in her eyes. We made a mistake," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "John, we have to tell Grace." The following conversation with Grace was the hardest I've ever had. I confessed, just as I had before, but this time there was no redeeming decision, no saving Grace. I had done the unthinkable. Grace's reaction was heartbreaking. The betrayal etched on her face cut deeper than any wound. She didn't say much, her silence echoing louder than any words could. I had expected anger, accusations, but her quiet disappointment was far more devastating. In the aftermath, we agreed on a separation, not as a prelude to divorce, but as a means for both of us to find some clarity. Grace needed to heal, to decide if she could forgive me. And I needed to figure out who I'd become, how I had let myself stray so far. As for Amelia, she moved to another city for a project. The distance, although painful, seemed necessary. I had to learn to separate my feelings for her from my commitment to my marriage, my love for Grace. And that's where I am now. Alone, grappling with guilt, with regret. My tale is no longer just a complicated love story. It's a cautionary tale about the destructive power of unchecked emotions and desires. The road to redemption is long and full of penance, and I've only just begun to walk it. Well, folks, if you were seeking a lesson from this, keep your sisters-in-law at a resistible distance, especially when there's liquor around. What do you think? Let us know in the comments section below. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more Tangled threads.